Hello, Monroe School District. Deanne Hermes here from Digital Learning, and I want to talk to you today about some updated features to use with Zoom while you're in Canvas. So to start off with, we're going to be at our dashboard. The process I'm about to show you, if you have more than one class, you will have to enable this feature in each of your different classes. I'm going to go ahead and open up my class. And once I've opened my class, I'm going to look over in my class navigation bar. You will notice that the Zoom tool is not here. So I need to enable the Zoom tool in order to make this work within my class. To do this, I'm going to head down to Settings. And once I open my settings, across the top, you're going to notice several tabs. You need to go ahead and click on the Navigation tab. This is going to show you which tools have been enabled in the class navigation bar for your students. But in order for Zoom to be enabled for you, it also needs to be enabled for your students. So we're going to head down to the bottom list, and these are tools that have been disabled for your class. I'm going to look at Zoom. Notice I have these three dots over here. I can click Enable, and if I click Enable, then that will enable this and move it to the top. Or I can click and I can just drag it up to the top bar so that I can place it wherever I want in terms of how the students see it. So maybe this is the most important. So I want it to be right underneath our Home tab. Once this is finished, remember, as with anything in Canvas, we need to save. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And now when you look over in your classroom navigation bar, you're going to notice you have the Zoom tool enabled. So in order to create, I'll just go back to my home page to make it a little easier. And so as a teacher, you're ready to create a Zoom meeting. You're going to go ahead and click on the Zoom tab. And you are going to get some different features. One of them you want to do is to go ahead and schedule a new meeting. Now, this is really important, the way that you label this under topic. Once you've created a Zoom meeting, it's going to show up in a calendar for your students. So you're going to want them to know what exactly this is. So my suggestion for the naming convention is to start off with Zoom and then whatever your class name is. You could even put a time in here, but on the calendar, I'll show you in a minute, it does add it to the correct time slot. But you could even say 10 o'clock Zoom, and then what your class is. So anything to make it easier for students if they were viewing this. And I'll show you why that's so important here in a minute. You can add a description. Most importantly is to go ahead and determine the time. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'll set it up for 10 o'clock a.m. It's going to be for an hour. If you wish to set up recurring meetings, so if you want this to be set up every week, you can go ahead and select recurring meetings, and it will set up the same time slot available each week from here on out. And if you click this, it's going to give you some options for when you want it to end, etc. The next thing's on the video piece. If you want your students to be able to be on video, and you as well, you're going to want to click this on. I would suggest clicking audio for both in case you have a student who needs to dial in via telephone. It will give them that option. And then there's some other details in here. One thing you'll notice that's new is that the waiting room has been enabled and you cannot disable that. Another thing to note is mute participants upon entry. I would strongly suggest that until you have a chance to set class norms. The other thing I want to draw to your attention is there's a piece on here that says only authenticated users can join. Do not click that because anyway, there's lots of reasons. Do not click that one. And so once you have your settings set, then you're going to go ahead and head down to save. And you have just saved this Zoom meeting. This is going to give you several options in here. So you can add it if you want to add it to calendars, things like that. It doesn't work super well unless you're signed into your Google on the device you're using. And then you have the information for this. So now you've started your meetings, or you've set up your meeting. Let's go ahead and let's click back on the Zoom tab. And from here, you're going to see all the meetings that you have scheduled for this particular class. Again, this is only for this class of students. And so only this group of students has been invited into a meeting. Once you have set these up, if you go over to your calendar button over on your global navigation bar, and we're going to open up calendar. A suggestion here is that you set your calendar to a weekly view. You could set it to a monthly view, but things are going to get cluttered pretty quickly in here. So I strongly suggest weekly so that you and your students are able to see things on a weekly basis. Now, if you look at my calendar, you're going to see here is an invite, and this is for Friday. If I switch to my next week, here's the invite for the class or for the Zoom meeting that I just created. If I click on this, it's going to give me an opportunity to edit it because I'm the one that created it. If I'm a student, let's go take a look and see what that looks like from a student's perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and head back I'm going to open up my class. And over on the right-hand column, we're going to click on Student View. And from a student point of view, when we go over to Calendar, we're going to ask our students again to change this to a weekly view. It's going to make it a lot easier for them. And this is a live link in here for your students. So if they open this up, they can click here to join this meeting. So when we're talking about setting up Zoom meetings for students, they are going to automatically be pushed out into the Canvas calendar. So I strongly suggest that you have your students get used to opening up Canvas, go to their calendar first, and this is going to populate for all of the classes that are in Canvas. So if they have 8 classes all in Canvas and they have 8 Zoom meetings scheduled, it will populate all of these Zoom meetings for them through the whole week so that they can have a weekly view of that and they know what times that they need to be able to see. As a parent, if I can have my child open up the calendar view so I can look at the week at a glance and see when they're supposed to be meeting, that is so tremendously helpful. So that is kind of some new updates for how to use the Zoom tool within Canvas. There's one other thing that I want to talk to you about. I've had several teachers asking about what if we need to set up groups of students in different ways. And this is going to be groups of students that we are going to set up continuously. So what I would suggest is that you go back to your dashboard. I would suggest if you have some static meetings set up where you have the same group of students meeting with the same teacher within a particular class, I would suggest creating a new course. And I would, whatever your course is, so if this was Algebra A or however you want to designate that course, create your course. Once you've created your course, you're going to go into your settings and you're going to set that up all the same. But then I would go into People. And in People, I would go ahead and add those students who are going to meet as a smaller group on a consistent basis. What this is going to allow you to do once you've added students in here is that when you create Zoom classes or Zoom meetings for this group of students, it will again create a link in their calendar just for the students who are in this group. So if you have 10 students that are going to meet with someone specific every single week, this is a great way to set that up. If you try and set up a group of 10 students to meet and you set it up in your main class, every student in that main class is going to be invited by their calendar to that meeting. So I think this is best practice for setting up small group meetings. This would be a way of setting up a class. It doesn't have any content. It just adds the students into here, and you can create the Zoom meeting. The student never even has to come into this class. Like I say, it's just a place to house those Zoom meetings for special groups of students. So once again, I'm going to run you through real quickly. You're going to want to open up your class, go into settings, go to the navigation bar. move the Zoom tool to enable. It will appear on your sidebar, and then you can go about creating your Zoom sessions. So those are some new features, how to use Zoom within Canvas. And it's just, wow, such a great way, right, for students and teachers to be able to access Zoom. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.